I made it was like there's like that Morticia Adams meme. It was like there's October 30th and it's just her looking gorgeous. And then it's like October 30th and it's just her looking gorgeous.
Do we
Hey.
have
Morticia
sound? Do we have, because I'm not going to ever remember how to do the thing that I said before when I introduced a game in the best way anyone has ever introduced a game, but I'm going to try. Hi, I'm Emily Vanderwerf, and if you can hear me, I'm going to start talking about how we are playing a game called Stonetop. I'm going to introduce the game a little bit more, but first I'm going to introduce myself. I have played in several games here at Happy Jacks. I played in a Masks game. I played in a recent Savage Worlds game run by Nick, who is in this game this evening, and I also played in Great American Witch. This is my first time running a game for Happy Jacks. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be doing this. I hope I'm not escorted off the premises when this is finished. And I also, before we get to the game, want my players to introduce themselves. So I honestly don't know who is first on the screen. So I'm just going to say, let's start with Mac.
Hi guys, I'm Mac. I don't know what's happening beyond that. Yeah, I've been on a lot of Happy Jacks games. You guys have probably seen me here, there, and everywhere as at Strange Like That online.
Awesome. Mo?
My name is Mo, game designer, game player. Yeah, I'm hiding in the garage from COVID and gaming.
Yeah.
You can find me at Ashy Feet One.
Blythe?
Hi, sorry, I'm slightly dying, but not dying. Hello everybody, I'm Blythe. You may have seen me on the internets or at Happy Jacks before. I usually am doing things under Blythe Cullen 93. Also, if you don't follow Mac, she has a really cool store and makes really cool things, so you should check it out.
And finally,
Nice.
finally, Nick? Yeah, please try to stop the nuclear missiles from launching. That would be really unfortunate if it happened. So the game we are playing is called Stonetop. It is a dungeon world hack by a designer named Jeremy Strandberg that like has gone so far beyond just a hack that like it is honestly one of my favorite RPG things ever. I don't like fantasy. Fantasy is not my jam, but I love this game. There's a whole sheet that I've sent to y'all that I'm not going to read to the audience because it would be very boring for me to read a sheet, but I'm going to try to condense it in just a couple seconds here. This game is about living in a town. It's about the relationships that are built in this town of Stonetop. It's kind of out on the edge of civilization, so there is an element of, I don't know, the Old West to this, but it is really a story about like building up this town, building up the people of this town via the heroes who will be playing at this table. The town itself has its own character sheet. It changes, it grows. You can make improvements to it. You can do all sorts of things. And we will be doing that in the weeks to come. What I love about Stonetop is the degree to which it has sort of serialized, if you will. Obviously, all RPGs have an element of serialization, but this one in particular is really good at tracing the changes in characters across time. My goal is to take us through 1 year in Stonetop. I don't know if we'll get there with all the sessions we have because this game often goes off on its own tangents, which is fun, but that's my goal. That's what I'm hoping to do. And as other stuff comes up, I'm sure I will introduce it. Oh, tonally, I enjoy having fun. I enjoy doing humorous type stuff, but ideally, this game is a little bit more grounded, a little bit more realistic. But of course, we should have fun. We should, have funny japes, if you will. I think what we'll start by doing is building characters. Y'all have sort of chosen character sheets you want to work with. So why don't we go around and say which character sheet you're going to play? And then there's like a little introductory spiel, if I'm correct. So maybe you want to read that or just give your own summary of it. And let's start with Nick this time. I'm going to go in reverse order. If you have you built the character already? Is that okay? Okay, yeah. Let's develop here. So let's stop there. I feel bad for the hedgehog already. That's where I am right now. Blythe.
So I was still kind of torn between 3 different ones
Okay.
because I don't make things easy for myself is the
Mhm.
reality.
Mhm.
But there was like I really liked the Blessed, the Light Bearer, and the Seeker were the
Mhm.
3 that I was kind of torn between. And I'm still not entirely sure which one is the best one to pick.
Okay. We'll circle back to you. Mo.
I'll be playing the Marshal.
Do you
Hoping
have
for
a
peace is not enough. Trouble always comes knocking. And that's why we need you to run the drills, to man the towers, to take charge of things when things go bad, to be cold enough to send your neighbors to sure death in order to keep Stonetop safe. That's the job, Marshal. You up for it? I don't know.
I have played this game a few times and have never had the Marshal, so I'm excited to figure out what he's all about, or she, or they. Just going to keep saying pronouns, apparently. Matt, it's you now.
So I picked the playbook, The Would-Be Hero, and printed it out really tiny. So bear with me while I read the description. Most people hope for a quiet life. They spend their days worrying about a leaky roof, a sick child, their crops. Good job, me. It's really tiny, you guys. I'm not kidding. But you aren't like most people. You're on a different path, a path of adventure. There's greatness in you. Let's hope you live long enough that for everyone else to see it.
Awesome. Blythe, do you have a sense?
So I'm looking at them now, and I'm thinking I'm going to eliminate the. I was like, well, maybe, and then I'm like, well, no, that one sounded cool too. I think I'm going to eliminate one of these.
We feel kind of grounded. I was looking at the Blessed too, and I don't know if it's that kind of game. We'll wish we had the Blessed.
So that what I like about the Blessed is I like the they have these like because each one kind of has their own I like that it has like little subclasses almost. Which is nice. So if like someone did want to play the same thing as you could be 2 different things. But I kind of like the Vessel from the Blessed, where you're like imbued with a random spirits or something, like a soul, like a spirit has taken root in your soul, and I like the idea of that. And then I like the Antiquarian and the Witch Hunter under the Seeker, which both sound very fun to me. I think maybe the Light Bearer is the one that I'm going to eliminate. I think I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. It's gone.
Light Bearer's gone. Do you want me to flip a coin between the Blessed and the Seeker, or do you want to decide?
You know what? Flip a coin. Let's do it. Let's find out what happens.
You tell me. Heads is what?
Heads is Blessed. Tails is Seeker.
Okay. Awesome. Very excited to do this. Tails. Looks
All
like
right.
you're playing the Seeker.
I almost forgot which one I said was what.
That's why I'm here. I'm the GM. I remember this stuff. All right. So yeah, let's kind of fill in our sheets. Sounds like some of you have done a little bit of that, but just sort of, this is a pretty standard, as you folks get started doing that, I will explain to the audience. This is a pretty standard PBTA setup, sort of a larger character class that is sort of broken down into subdivisions. And then you have moves and different ways to play that character. But basically there's like an archetype and then you break it down and make it your own. And that's what we're all about here. So we have a seeker and a fox and a marshal and a would-be hero. So if any of you have questions, please feel free to ask away. Also, apparently the designer is watching us. So if I do anything wrong, I'm going to just hide away forever.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I have followers, and I was trying to understand if I could cheat and have one of my followers be a large animal.
Ooh, there is a specific character who
I
has
know,
an
that's the
animal
ranger.
follower. Yeah.
And this animal, I'm thinking a large dog, would
Okay.
be so proficient in combat and
Okay.
so responsive, and I would understand what he said. And he would be a person, but he would be a dog.
Okay. I like this idea. Let me think about it. I don't see a reason why not.
Feel free to
but
say no. Feel free to say no. It just sounds fun.
Yeah, it would be fun for you to have a dog. I'm always happy to have dogs. So, but yeah, I think that could be fun. Let me think about it.
Think about it.
I'm going to jump in here for just a moment because apparently I got everybody's sound but my own, and I might have fixed it, so I'm going to wait for chat to tell me if I did. Great. Looks like I got it fixed. I'm a professional.
Get it. Everything is fine.
Is it bad that there's a move I like just because it's called Everything Bleeds?
No, that's never a problem. It's always good to just say everything bleeds. Yeah.
So emo.
The options are so good, it's very hard to choose between them.
Yeah, it really is.
Yep, it really is.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to get an idea of what I want this character to be, too.
I have decided, Mo, that you may have a dog, but you have to give that dog a rich backstory. Like it has to have like a complicated like history within the town or something like that. So like it has a grudge against a specific cat or something. I want to hear what this dog is all about.
Did you see there was like a tweet going around that was pretty hilarious about how when Patrick Stewart was brought in to do the voiceover for Oblivion for Elder Scrolls, they handed him like a 90-page booklet for his character and he was like so stoked about it. And the best part about this is the character dies in the first like 20 minutes of the game. But he had a 90-page booklet for his character and he was so excited to get to voice a character that was so thought out. So, you know, make your dog as rich as the character that Patrick Stewart played. I think I'm gonna go.
Sounds like life advice.
You know, sometimes I give accidental life advice. Sometimes.
So, can we talk about the places?
Sure.
Marsh Hedge, Steplands, Man March, and Lygos.
Yes. I will pull up a map here. Oh wait, I can share my screen. I could do that. This is my Zoom. I can do whatever you want. Yeah,
do whatever you want. It's your game.
You control the horizontal. You control the vertical.
I do. Yeah, there's I think I have a map somewhere. There's so many things that I have to maps. There we go. Cool. So this is the map of the world's something, except I can't see the words on it. So Lygos is like a town very far to the south It's kind of a, if you think about it, it's kind of if you imagine that Stonetop is like far northern California, then Lagos would sort of be Los Angeles. What a weird metaphor to use for this game. Marsh Edge is what it sounds like. It's on the edge of a marsh. What were the other ones you wanted to know about?
Steplands and Man March.
Okay. The Steplands are, I believe, just the like the steps, and the open. What is a step? It's like a hilly thing, right?
It's the area before the foothills.
Yes,
and the foothills are the hills before the mountains.
Yes, exactly. And
the green grass grows all around, and the green grass grows all around.
And so do these places mean anything yet, or are we going to give them meaning during the
game? They do have sort of like default assumptions, but through our play, we will probably define what they mean to you, which I think is even more important. So, but that's sort of the broad idea of like where, what they are, where they are, that sort of thing.
So I'm kind of leaning towards the antiquarian on this, where you're more of like a nerd. But I kind of, would you be open to allowing me to be a nerd about goth things? So basically, the witch hunter gets like, you can be well-versed in the Fae, things below, or the Black Gates. But the antiquarian gets well-versed in the makers and their arts, which is cool. But I'm like, I would rather be well-versed in one of the other things. So could I play the antiquarian but have studied one of these other things instead?
So what, to your mind, what would change about that from playing the witch hunter? Like I'm cool with it. I just want to get a sense of,
I just want to be more of like since we're playing a more grounded game, I want to be someone who's a little bit more grounded in like scholarliness and studying, and I feel like for the witch hunter, that's more of a fighty murder hobo class.
Okay. Yeah. I think sure. I'm gonna say sure, why not? I don't think it will break anything. We'll see as we go. And I'm gonna send you the major. Do you have the major arcanum sheet? You probably don't, because you haven't had to look at this yet. So I'm going to send a link to that to you in the Slack, and you can take a look at those.
So I was actually wondering if we could maybe get a little bit more about the world before we make some of these choices.
Sure.
Partly because in the Fox playbook, and I'm sorry, by the way, since no one could hear me before, I'm using the Fox playbook, which is sort of a trickster archetype. But in those items, all three of the options for background are really, really good. And I just kind of want to feel a little bit more about how we see the world in this town unfolding before I make a decision about which one I think would be most fun to play.
Do you have a sense of which you're torn by, or anything like that?
Honestly, they're all really good. There's for the backgrounds, just one is the natural, which is just your kind of you're smarter than everyone else and you pick up things really easily because you're clever. One is much more of a sort of rogue focused called Life of Crime, which of course can always be useful in games. And the other one is the Prodigal Returned, which is you left long ago traveling far and wide and living by your wits, but now you're back at Stonetop and you want to try and make that more of your life instead of being such a rover on there. And I'm kind of leaning towards that, but the other two are also really, really good, and I keep thinking of ideas that I can use for any of those backgrounds on the character.
Right. Let's wait until we have a sense of who. If you want to wait until we have a sense of who everybody is, I think that's fine. I just want to make sure you have it picked before we get to the introduction part.
Of course.
Because so that would be helpful. So yeah, I can have you introduce yourself last so that you have a sense of what everybody else is playing.
Okay.
Yeah, as y'all finish your sheets to the point where basically you're just choosing character and moves and things like that, and we will fill in some of the other stuff later. Yeah, as you finish, please post in the Zoom chat here that you're done, and we'll go when you're all ready.
This is handy because I start with a major arcanum.
Okay. Yeah, and it says which one you start with, right? Like you
It
have
gives you an
three different picks. Yeah, you have three different to pick from. Yeah. Okay. The major arcanum are like super powerful objects that presumably are magical, but the seeker throughout the course of the game will be uncovering secrets about them and ideally learning how to use them. So,
which is kind of why I was drawn to this class. Like, I like the idea of, like, I know it's kind of a not super magical world, but I like the idea of someone who's just like so interested in this like supernatural magic-y stuff that keeps studying it.
mm-hmm.
And I definitely can't at all relate to that in real life. Nope.
That doesn't sound like you at all, actually. So,
nah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only known you a little while, but you definitely are like a very practical and staid person.
I try to be like no humor, very straight laced.
Yes.
Ooh.
Well, I think we're all very serious people who don't like a joke.
Extremely. Yes. And this game is going to be basically like an Ingmar Bergman film. Like that is my attempt here. It's going to like end with like someone weeping quietly as like leaves fall around them. That's what I'm going for. Yeah.
I want to be the one who goes through the 7 layers of hell.
Okay. Perfect.
Go through the heaven's sign.
Now, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to talk. Bill and Ted's Go to Hell, or Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is entirely inspired by that movie, and it's just weird to me. But
so it seemed to me like this is sort of like an Iron Age world.
Yeah.
Is that approximate?
It's probably we can sort of define how techy it is. I've played it where it's a little closer to like 18th century, 1700s, and I've played it where it's like really super ancient. I do think that for my purposes, I kind of imagine it as, end of the Dark Ages. Like we're starting to emerge from a time of like not a lot of technological progress, everything kind of stuck in one place, but it is slowly starting to emerge from that. And that's kind of my default assumption. But if we decide that it's like, oh yeah, this is Bronze Age or something, then we'll go with that.
Okay.
What you described is actually kind of what I had in my head just reading through this, especially with the sheet that I picked. So
cool, great.
And Nick, there's an opportunity, actually for all of you. I'm not sure if Blythe or your characters are going to work like this, but maybe I have followers, so we can have a relationship that way if you like.
I don't think you can have another player character as a follower, but if you want to have a follower that is related to them, like that's so like if one of the characters, like their brother or something, is your follower, like that.
As the fox, I don't think he really follows anyone. But we can have had a relationship.
Sure, perfect.
I follow my nose. That's what I follow.
Right.
So,
I'm not trying to take away your agency. I'm just like,
No, I get what you're saying. The way that this game seems constructed is it seems likely that it's kind of a smaller town, and sort of everyone sort of has a relationship with everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any of us would be totally complete strangers unless we specifically say, hey, I moved here to Stonetop from this place just within the past 6 months or something.
Yeah. It's I believe that the default town size, and I will look this up, but I believe it's 250 is the starting. So there's like 250 people here. Everybody, if you don't know everybody, you know somebody who knows everybody. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I can assume safely there is a tavern, I'm sure.
Yes, of course.
Okay, because I would like very much to either run and or work at that establishment.
Okay.
Because I like the idea of being a character that is, always the bartender, never the adventurer, and everybody comes for the advice and the bit of information on the quest, but never actually gets to go questing themselves.
Okay. Cool. I like that idea too.
Or should we start talking about perspective backstories?
Yeah, I think once there. So one of the neat things about this game is that it has really, if you'll note on the page where it says introductions, it has like really complicated. Yeah, it has not. I don't want to say complicate's the wrong word. It has very involved like building out relationships, building out the worlds.
Got it.
So yeah, I want to sort of adhere to that as much as possible because to some degree this is a play test and I want to make sure that we get the information we need. But yes, we will be doing that in a second here.
I hear we're being watched.
We're being watched all the time. Like that's what's hard about this. Cool. Okay. All right. So Blythe, if we get started, will you be done in like a little bit?
Oh, yeah, don't worry too much. I'm looking at my items because I'm trying to figure out which of the three
Okay.
I want.
So if you'll note, there is a section on the fourth page. I guess it depends on what you're using, but it says introductions at the top, and that is where you're going to start. So basically, it's wait here for everyone else, and when everyone's ready, take turns introducing your characters. When someone reveals something and you want to know more, ask them about it. When someone asks you a question, answer it truthfully. And on the first turn, we're basically all going to say the same thing, which is name and pronouns and background and all of that. So let's start with Mac, whenever you have a second.
Okay, and we're just starting on the first thing.
You're starting on part one. On your first turn, introduce yourself by name, pronouns, background, origin, and appearance.
All right. The character is Ilsa. She, her. Background is she is the local tavern owner and bartender of said establishment. From Stonetop, never left Stonetop, always probably will be at Stonetop, but dreams of getting to actually go on the adventures that everybody seems to bring as news through her establishment. She's very wiry and like very earnest looking, so even though she's kind of past her prime, she still kind of comes off as being very youthful and very excitable about the potential of doing something beyond what she's been doing for so long.
How you say past her prime, sort of what age are you sort of imagining her?
Well, I'm also thinking we're talking sort of a past time frame, so she's probably late 30s, early 40s, and happy to be at that age.
Right, yeah, late 30s, early 40s, boy.
Yeah.
I just turned 40. I tell me a little bit about this bar that you own. We're going to put it on the map later, but I just want to hear how you envision it at this point.
That's a very good question. I hadn't quite thought about it quite that deeply.
We can come back to it if you'd like.
I mean, I feel like it's been there for a very long time. It's probably been made out of stone, and there's I don't know if what the name used to be, but I feel like half the words have rubbed off. So it's being called by something ridiculous because it's, whatever was left on the very weathered sign out front.
Okay.
Like it used to be the dragon, and now it's just everybody calls it the Gone.
I love that. All right. Let's go on to Mo. If you will do your number one.
I am not seeing the
Introductions. Let's
on my
see.
sheet.
Okay. It's are you using the landscape ones? Of course you are. That's what I gave you. So if you scroll down, you see inventory.
Yep.
It's immediately to the left. It's the column to the left of that.
Oh. Got it.
Cool.
Zoomed
And
in.
I should before you say, I should say anyone at the table can ask questions. I'm obviously, the burden is more on me to ask them, but if anybody hears something you want to hear more about, please ask away. Go ahead.
My name is Carlo. He, him. I'm from the South. And I kind of got stuck here. Well, do I see that? Do I see that? Nope, I don't see that. I don't fit in town, but people have kept me around since I've been guilted to stay.
Interesting. What do you like most about Stonetop? Like, even though you're maybe we're going to determine why you're here, but what do you like most about it? Now, how long have you been here? I guess would be a good way to start, and then what do you like most in that time that you've been here?
I've been here about 2 years, and as the marshal, one of my perks is credit at the bar.
Do you have a favorite drink that Ilsa prepares there?
When I go foraging, I come back with particular herbs that it maybe I brew or one of my people brew, and we just leave it at the bar.
Cool. Excellent. And do you have any sort of a sense of like your appearance? Are you like big and built? Or are you kind of lithe? Or what are you sort of thinking in terms of how you look?
I'm far too pretty, to be honest. And I've done some bad things. That's how I look.
Blythe, are you ready?
I have a character name and description.
Okay, cool. Go for that.
So, her name is Tiern, which is actually one of the names they suggest in the playbook, but I actually quite liked it. Her name is Tiern, and this is going to shock everybody. She's tall.
What?
I know, I make tall characters. She has like long black hair that she tends to wear braided or pulled back. She's kind of like tall and wiry, possibly from spending too much time in the library. She's from Marsh Edge, and she came to Stonetop because she wanted to study and kind of start like a library / school for local children so she could like help keep the town educated and teach them things while also continuing her studies. So she has like a tiny little school in town. It's not super elaborate. It can't fit many kids, but she tries. And then in the back, you think is her office and bed, I guess. It's mostly an office. But yeah, that's so she's just kind of like she's the local teacher, trying to teach people things.
Awesome. What's maybe this is a question that will come up that you will answer later, so tell me if it is. But why was Stonetop the place to continue your studies?
Um, I think that the town to the south already had a school,
Mm-hmm.
and she like looked into maybe helping out there, but she thought it was better to start anew from like a place that didn't have one and could actually use her services better. So she decided to go to Stonetop instead of the south or any of the other towns.
And give me sort of a rough age.
I'm thinking like late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
So a spinster woman.
Mo, I forgot to ask you how old roughly Carlo is. You might be muted.
40s ish.
40s ish. Okay.
Yes, we're all playing like adults so far.
Yeah. Yeah. This is actually the first time I played with the would-be hero and somebody didn't pick like a child. So I'm very excited to see how this plays out. Nick, tell us a little bit about who you're playing.
Sure. I'm going to be playing a character named Bran, Braan, and he's called Go-Between. And he's called Go-Between because even though he was born and raised in Stonetop, he has spent many, many years traveling elsewhere and being kind of a trader, maintaining lines and commodities back and forth between, and he's seen a lot of the world, but has decided to come back to Stonetop. I think that he is a little bit heavyset, just from being able to have lived a very comfortable life, even though it did have a lot of traveling and hardships that occurred in it as well. But he always speaks with sort of a very reasonable, pleasant, calm voice, unless things have completely gone out of hand. But he also likes to spin a tall tale, so some of the things that he says are not necessarily 100% accurate. But he walks with a sense of purpose almost always, and has decided that he wants to help bring Stonetop into sort of a more less of a backwoods and more of a cultural center. More industry. He wants to help Stonetop advance.
Why do you feel that strong need to help Stonetop if you left for so long?
It started sort of as a just tired of being on the road, and one of the things that like the longer you're away from home, the more rosy colored your glasses become for it. But the thing about Stonetop is, as I see it, is that it's kind of a backwater, and Brand feels like there's a lot of potential to develop it into something greater. But there isn't the drive, and that perhaps with his outside world contacts and being able to sort of bring it forward into the, make it more prosperous. So it's sort of like a hometown drive. Like he really loves the place, but there's also some of it's now that he's back, it's much more quaint than even he remembered it, because he's grown a bunch as a person as well.
Cool. And sort of a rough age for Bron.
I'm also going to put myself probably in mid-30s.
Okay. Wow. Bunch of adults in this game. So Nick, I'm gonna start with you again because what we have next is number 2, which I think is the same for everybody. Eventually these start to split up by playbook, but I believe for everybody it's describing your possessions.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your possessions? And it says the question that everybody's going to answer, which I will read for the stream, is: on your second turn, describe your special possessions and how you contribute to the village beyond working in the fields. The game assumes everybody takes shifts in the fields to sort of keep the town fed. So Braun, what are your special possessions?
Well, I think that one of them is trading contacts, which gives me access to lots of small amounts of many commodities for trading samples to see if people are interested and find out what people want in order to be able to make deals.
Mhm.
And then also as a result of my successful or fairly successful trading, I do have a hidden stash,
Mm,
which is another
awesome.
special possession that lets me have sort of secret access to purses of silver should the need arise for those items. I think that how Bran helps the town, I kind of covered a little bit before. He's working to create new contracts and trading, trying to get people interested in investing, trying to make the outpost more civilized.
Cool, cool. What's a time that you used that silver to get the town out of a jam, solve a dispute, or something like that?
I think that there was the old mill broke,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to be, it was like a major undertaking, and I was able to expedite repairs by bringing in some extra workfolk, in order to get the mill back online quicker than it would have been before the townsfolk could have all done it, so that we didn't lose that season of grinding grain.
Cool, cool. That's awesome. Blythe, tell me about your special possessions, if you know.
Um, well, I did decide on my major
Cool.
arcanum object, which is the Neruba's ice sphere.
Okay.
And it's basically like it allows you to see into the like ask questions and help solve puzzles and see things. But it can also physically drain you and weaken you.
Okay.
And then I was thinking because she runs kind of a library slash school, that she has some like special books and journals where she basically can be like, "Oh, I've read about it. I have a
Mm,
thing." So she has some of those like different research studies she's done and different journals and lots of like sketches and weird things that she's kind of discovered in her travels.
mm. When the mill broke down last year, how did you contribute to fixing it?
I had a helpful little diagram on how to properly fix a mill. Like she kind of looked it over and was like, "Oh, well, we don't know what physics is, but this is off for this reason." So she kind of like worked out the machinery of it and helped kind of get them with the more physically like able-bodied people, and was like,
Mhm.
"You go do the actual fixing, but I'll tell you how to."
Yeah, yeah. How easily do people listen to her? Actually, I don't know. You probably have you if you've chosen your skills. But yeah, like what's your charisma? How easily do people listen to you?
I haven't chosen my skills yet, but I was
Okay.
probably going to. I was gonna put her at like a decent charisma because she
Okay,
is a
cool.
teacher. So like
Yeah,
she's used to talking to people and dealing with them. It's
yeah.
probably more of a like mom tone. So it's probably more of like, honey, really? That's what you're doing now? But I think she has a way of getting people to listen to her lessons and stuff.
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh,
don't think she has any like significant sway though.
uh-huh. Okay,
She can just get them to like pay attention.
awesome. Mo, tell me a little bit about your special possessions. You're muted.
My special possessions are, I guess you'd say, my band of merry oak.
Sure.
Um, I stayed in Stonetop because a woman said that her daughter was mine,
Mm,
and um, me and my men came in to start a lot of trouble. Um, and it hit me that I had started a lot of trouble already. So my right hand man stuck with me, and word got out that I was here, and people who kind of look like me with different color hair started turning up from the four winds, and they are useful in town. And I try to teach them what I know, but not everything I know.
Do you have an extremely helpful dog who has a rich backstory?
If it's okay, I do.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah.
I'm the sheriff, but if I have a problem, Durr usually shows up, and the problem gets solved.
Excellent. Excellent.
So I don't actually have to do much to be useful,
Mm-hmm.
and there are people in town who aren't happy that my crew actually participates in the efforts of picking fields and running the town, but I don't actually tend to do much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about a time that you, as sheriff, like stopped a situation that could have gotten much worse before it got bad, to sort of keep the town's peace.
Um, there was a dispute over some young lady in town being married to some person of another town. And, the two families couldn't come to an agreement, and things were going to get ugly. And I went and talked to them. Me and Durr and old Zeb. And everybody came to a reasonable solution.
How do you spell Dur? Is it D-E-R?
D-U-R.
D-U-R. Wonderful.
Durr is the dog.
Yes, I know. Dur is my favorite character. If I do have one more question, which is when the mill broke down, did you help with that at all?
I sent Zeb and one of my boys to the next town,
Mm-hmm.
and their carpenter volunteered to come and help. I'm not sure. We can kind of determine if by the time that carpenter arrived, if the townsfolk had gotten the mill running again.
Okay. All right. Let's head back to Ilsa. Tell me a little bit about your special possessions.
So I was wondering if I could swap stoneworking tools on here for metalworking tools.
I don't see why not.
So I think that originally she was apprenticing with her father doing blacksmithing.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, at one point, lost an eye because of it and was unable to have the depth perception to really work metal the way that she had.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of what pushed her to swap careers. And, again, it was like swapping from one career where you're helping adventurers to another career where you're helping adventurers and you never get to go. And the other possession is a wool cloak. And I got that from my idol, who I haven't come up with yet, that basically sacrificed themselves at one point for the betterment of a township, and that was a deep blow, losing a hero.
Um, yeah, I'm excited to hear more about this idol when the time comes. But I do want to hear how you dealt with this crisis of the mill that broke down last year. How you helped out.
I think that she was there kind of to help with some of the structure, and while she can't really work the metal very well herself, but like helping the others kind of um, get things back in place and back up and running for the actual mechanisms of the mill.
Awesome. Yeah. What's the drink you make best?
Huh. I think that just to get real over stereotypical, she's got this killer mead, but it has lavender in it, so it makes it a very different floral flavor to it, which the adventurers are kind of not super keen about, but the locals seem to really like.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to question 3. Just so the audience at home knows, there are 8 total questions. So I think this is different for everybody else, for everybody around the table. This is when it starts to diverge. Yeah. So let's read your question number 3, Ilsa, and then please answer it.
So question number 3 is, tell us of your fear and anger and the time that they caused you trouble. I had not filled these out yet.
Go ahead and take a look.
Okay, yeah, I need a minute.
Yeah. Everybody look at question 3, make sure you filled out the thing it refers to, because that can be a little, it's easy to miss that column. So
if you want me to go ahead, I actually have that kind of prepared, I think.
Go for it. Please read your, look at all this helpful stuff in the chat that I have not been looking at.
Well, there's a problem. Something happened and all of our windows went away, and then everything went black, and I'm trying to get everything fixed.
Okay, cool.
All right, so on my third turn, my instructions are to tell us your tall tales. Feel free to embellish and exaggerate with to the other players, but always answer the GM truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the stories that Bron likes to tell is when he had left. This happened shortly after he left Stonetop. He got lost in the Great Wood, and while he was trying to find his way, he stumbled across this clearing, and in this clearing there was an enormous boar. The thing must have been 1,000 pounds easy, just a gigantic, huge monster of a beast. And when he, but it seemed very docile. So when he approached and called out, he could see that it had like some sort of a collar, like obviously somebody owned the boar. So he called out, and he was looking for someone to the owner, and who had this incredibly what great animal husbandry they must have had to have raised such this giant boar, and so tame and so friendly. And as he was calling out, the boar woke up, and he realized it was not calm and peaceful. It had just been sleeping. And so with a mighty snort, it started chasing him, and he was running through the forest, and he didn't know where he was going to go, and he's dodging trees, and he tried to climb a tree, and the boar's tusk just knocked it over. So he kept running, and finally decided the only place that was safe from the boar was on the boar. So with a mighty jump, he vaulted himself up. The boar ran underneath him, and he grabbed onto its back and was holding on, and there was a collar, and he was wrapped around trying to get it and trying to steer the boar. And eventually, just after hours, the boar just finally wore itself out. And as he climbed off of the exhausted boar and was able to find his way back, the collar had broken off in his hand, and attached to the collar was this iron key that I've been looking for what it opens ever since. So if you have a mysterious lockbox, if there's anything that you're aware of, it just might be the answer to what this key opens.
Please tell me, Bron. Just me, the person who knows everything about this world. Where did you really get this key?
So the true story is that he did find this key, and he did find a boar. But that's about as far as it goes. While lost in the Great Woods, he came across like an abandoned stone cottage, and in that cottage, when he did call out to try and see who was there, there was in fact a boar that was rooting there, but nothing quite as large as that, and it did give him a bit of a fright. And he ran out of there because they are still wild beasts and have tusks. But before he had done so, he did find that there had been an iron key on the table in the cottage, which had other accoutrements as well, but no bodies. No, so it didn't look like it looked like someone left and never came back. But he wasn't able to find the what the key opened before he was chased out by this boar that had kind of made this its den. But he didn't see anything immediately that it would have belonged to either. But he has kept it because maybe he'll find out what it's for one day. And he has not been able to find the cottage since, mainly because he was lost in the woods and isn't sure how to be unlost in the right place.
How many times have you told? I don't want to assume this character's sexuality. How many times have you told that story to try to like woo someone you thought might be interested in you?
Oh, very often. He has many stories, and he is popular with women and men, and so he will use these stories to perhaps accentuate mystery or characteristics that he thinks the others will think desirable. And it works fairly often. Not every time, but he has a high success rate, so it is definitely in the rotation.
Okay. Great. Ilsa, do you feel as though you kind of have a sense of where you're going?
Yes. Okay, so it's basically the fear and anger and where it got me in trouble. So for my fear, I took that you aren't really cut out for this. And for the anger, it was violence to children, animals, and the innocent. So during one of my evenings in the tavern, a adventurer came in looking very ragged and asked me to go see to their horse. And I went out and looked, and this horse had just been run ragged, just absolutely to the point of exhaustion. I managed to squirrel away the horse, and the adventurer was told that, you know, it had broken loose, it had run off, but and I got pretty thrashed. I got a thrashing for it. But it was the kinder thing to do because he was only going to drive this horse into drive it to death if he was going to continue on.
So you turned it loose. Where did you turn it loose?
I actually kept the horse.
Okay, you kept it. Where are you hiding the horse
then? There is a small couple horse stable that's attached to the blacksmithing shop I used to work at, and so they're actually keeping the horse for me as a favor.
Okay, cool. Carlo, you are the marshal in this town. I assume this adventurer like filed a report with you. Did you ever find that horse?
Yeah.
And what did you do about it?
Ilsa said he was being mean to the horse.
Mm-hmm.
I let him know we looked far and wide.
Yeah. All right, excellent. And I also wanted to ask, how does your fear of not being cut out for this? How does that manifest most readily?
Just
that was for Elsa.
Yeah. Kind of the imposter syndrome. Like there's been a million times that she's thought maybe I'll tag along and get out of this town and go do something, but always just worried that, lacking depth perception and, a lot of actual worldly experience, that she's just not actually cut out for it as badly as she wants to be a part of it.
Will you give this adventurer who lost their horse a name?
Reginald.
Okay. All right. I have plans for Reginald. I actually don't. I just want to have him out there in the world. Carlo, tell me the question that you have to ask on number 3.
Oh, you mean the time that those farmers said they saw the giant wolves?
Yeah. The question is, tell us the town's war stories.
That's what I'm telling you.
Great. No, I'm recapping for the audience so they know what's happening. But please continue. I want to hear all about these wolves.
So of course, at first, this was not long after I got to town, and of course, people start talking about giant wolves, and Stonetop is not a very sophisticated place. Mm-hmm. Some folks around here are afraid of their shadows, and so we went and looked around and didn't see anything, but obviously their livestock was being mutilated and ripped to pieces and dragged into the forest. Mm-hmm. So we set up a watch, and kind of had to after Farmer Lou got himself maimed trying to fight these wolves off. I mean, if they weren't wolves, they were something. So we went and, called it a camping trip. Mm-hmm. And figured, if we set a fire, these wolves, they'd probably not come around. And a couple of the townsfolk came with us because they figured, if me and Zeb were there, they wouldn't have any problems. And those wolves came out of the woods like they weren't even afraid. I mean, they weren't giant, but they were ferocious. And they weren't hungry. They were something was driving them. If you ever seen a mad dog, mad dog don't act like a dog, and these wolves didn't act like wolves. And they knew them woods better than we did. And if Farmer Lou's wife hadn't come out banging them pots and pans and distracted them, well, Zeb might have got hurt.
Yeah.
But she's a very nice lady, and I wouldn't mess with her because she don't scare easy.
Have the wolves been back since the night of the pots and pans?
We hunted them and found where they had a clutch of pups. And we cleared them out. But we didn't get them all. People talk about it with the kids. but nobody's made any reports that seem real.
Okay. Excellent. I want to hear more about Tiernan. What's your question like?
Gotta unmute myself. Was coughing too much. All right. So mine is to describe my major arcana, which is the Neruba's ice sphere, and it's like, I imagine in my head it looks like a ring, but I imagine it more like a sphere, like Saruman has in Lord of the Rings. So like a kind of black murky crystal ball that's like made of black ice. That I peer into to gain knowledge. That's safe. My question is that I have to answer 2 questions. Where did I find it and who else wants it? And one day when she was off kind of wandering through the woods, looking for other paraphernalia and like herbs and things, she stumbled upon an abandoned cottage, which I had thought of this, and as Nick was saying his, I was like, what if it's the same cottage? And this is why, and it magically moves around, and we're not able to find it again. But
I like this.
And when she found it, it looked lived in for her. It had like a fire on the hearth, something was cooking, but no one was home. And she walked in, and she doesn't really know why. She just felt compelled to like walk into this place. And as she was looking around, she was like too afraid to touch anything, but then she saw the spear, and she just had to take it. Yeah. She saw it and immediately was like, I have to have that. And so she took it and left and kind of ran hurriedly out of there. And she knows that whoever owns that cabin wants it back, but she doesn't know who they are or why they want it. But she has a sinking feeling that they are going to come try to claim it at some point. She's just kind of trying to hide it as best as she can so she can learn about it. Or she's at least trying to learn as much as she can until someone tries to take it back from her. Because she definitely stole it. Or did she?
Ooh, where did it find her? I believe, does it say something about minor arcana as well? I believe I did not send you that. So
it does say minor arcana to draw 3 at random and review both sides.
Okay, I'm going to send you this and just say you should pick some at random, which is just going to end up functionally being you just picking some. But yeah, we'll circle back to that in a second. I don't know, maybe do a random number generator. I believe there are 56 of them. I think that's right.
Roll maybe I can roll a D% or something.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So let's move on to the next question, which is question 4, which is going to be defining some of the NPCs who live around Stonetop. Yeah, I think that we will start with Mo this time. So pick one of those questions to answer, and we will keep going through this until everyone has passed, basically.
My I guess my closest kin would be Kylie. I came to town because I had a beef with the hill marshal. He killed one of my men. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but these things have to be, mm-hmm. paid for. And I didn't realize that, that marshal, he was taking care of his sick wife, and it was so sad. And his sick wife said I was that girl's daughter, that girl's daddy. And it's not the first time I heard that, but suddenly she didn't have a father, and it was clear that soon she wouldn't have a mother. So I'm here.
And looking from the list of followers that you've provided, Kylie is on that list. Tell me a little bit about what she does in when you need her on your side in a fight.
She don't listen. I don't try to get her into a fight. I try to keep her and the rest of Stonetown safe from all the little things that go bump in the night, and the familial feuds. It's a quiet place, so she'll be fine if she listens.
Ilsa, why don't we define your first NPC? You're muted also.
That was my plan all along, to stay muted. Ha ha ha! It worked. I mean, what? Okay, I'm just gonna move on now. Who quietly understands the path you're on? And I think that's her father, Ivan.
Okay.
Grew up with stories and legends and lots of, tales, and he had no sons, so he trained her to be a part of his blacksmithing business. But after she lost the eye, she was just like, I can't keep doing this. And he understands her drive and need to do something, because no one in her lineage has really ever done that, but he does quietly understand.
Yeah. Who was his, like, when he was sort of telling stories about heroes of old or whatever, who was his favorite person to tell stories about?
Let me think on that.
No worries. I actually do have another one. He, just given your age, he's probably at least in his 60s. Is he one of the older people in Stonetop?
Oh, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So he used to tell tales of Ivar, and he really liked Ivar because it was such a close name to his, and got a big kick out of that. And Ivar was a adventurer known for going out and taking down mythical beasts with, magical weaponry, and just it was very bombastic and fantastical, and he just really got a thrill out of it.
Cool. Nick, Braun, answer your first NPC question.
Sure. I think that one of the things here is someone whose respect means the world to me. And I think that is Braun's father, whose name is Marlin.
Okay.
And they always had I don't want to say a contentious relationship. I think that it was, Marlin is very much of the land and practical, and wanted to do things that were very, this is the way it's been done, this is how things are, there's no use dreaming about differences, why would you ever leave Stonetop? All of the things that Braun found himself wondering, trying to find new ways to do things, seeing new ways, new approaches, and so he left in order to try and make something of himself, and in order to show that he had value and understanding and make his father proud. So Whether he is or not, we can discuss. But I think that they have a there's love, but I think that there is a distance. I don't think Marlon is very good about sharing his life with Bronn and vice versa.
What happened to Bronn's mother?
She passed away. She actually passed away in the first few years when Bronn was traveling, and he didn't get message back until it was too late. So that may have driven some sort of a wedge. He did send a letter, and he sent burial gifts. But at the time, he was not able to make the travel back in order to attend her funeral. And so that has actually been something that he has always regretted, but wanted to honor and talk to her because she understood a lot more than Marlon did.
I should ask Ilsa the same question. What happened to is your mother still around, or you're muted again?
Yeah, that was the thing that just happened. No, her mother's no longer around.
How long ago, roughly?
When she was a child.
Okay.
So she only has the vaguest of memories anyway.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Blythe.
Yeah. So I think that for my girl, there's a NPC in town that she has a little bit of a crush on. She's not she doesn't really have any plans on acting on it, but she definitely will occasionally go into Ilsa's tavern and just study and conveniently sit in the one spot where she can see this person. And I'm still trying to figure out a name because I'm terrible at naming. But I think she has a crush on a local man that's around her age. I know I picked a man, scandalous. I don't know what his name should be. Let's
Pick a different name from your sheet.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm his name is let's go. These are all terrible. Wow. Let's go with no, that's a terrible name too. Alis.
Okay.
That is his name.
Awesome.
And he's I think he's he's been in Stonetop for a long time, but he's another kind of adventure-y, scholarly type. So I think she just likes talking to him because it's oh, there's someone else who's like me in this town. But she doesn't really ever work up the courage to talk to him that much. And I feel like Ilsa has had to deal with it the most. She's just I don't know what to do. And she's at your bar, drinking and studying and being useless.
Ilsa, using your expert bartender knowledge, what do you know of how Ailish feels about Tyrn?
I think he hasn't noticed her yet. I think he's so busy studying and looking into the things that he's interested in that it just hasn't occurred to him to go outside of his bubble.
Tyrn, did you also have your minor arcana if you want to rattle them off real quickly?
I do not have them yet.
Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Cool. We'll do it in a second here. Actually, let's just go and question 5 is we answer a different NPC question until you're ready to pass. And when everyone has passed, we will continue on. So we can define as many NPCs as we want. I generally like everybody to define at least 2, so if we could do at least one more round, that'd be great. But you can define as many as you want. So, Blythe, let's start with you this time.
Okay. Let me look at the Questions. So it's the same, like, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think for her, she also secretly watches over one of her students,
Mhm.
um, named Anouk.
Mhm.
And she's noticed that she's like a really smart kid. And but she feels like she's probably got either some trouble going on at home or something, and so she feels like she needs to kind of pay a special attention to her. And she's like, I think she's like 11 or 12, maybe. Like, and she encourages her to keep going to school despite being a little bit older because like she thinks she could go really far with it, or she thinks she could just be like a good friend to help her out.
Yeah. What do Anouk's parents do?
I think they run one of the farms.
Okay. Yeah, so there's probably a real tension around like she should be working on the farm instead of going to school. Cool. All right. That brings us back to Nick.
All right. So I have another question I have is who's your closest kin? And of course, Marlon is close. Is Brown's father, but he also has a sister named Brina,
Mm-hmm.
and he would consider her to be the closest. They were inseparable. They're only a year apart in terms of age. She's a year younger than he is, and she never left Stonetop, but he always made sure that he sent letters back to her all of the time, knowing that information would get back to Marlon as well. He did keep in touch, and I think that she wrote letters to him, which reached him sporadically, sometimes out of order. So he would kind of save those missives and piece together sort of a narrative of what had happened in her life. Sometimes having to go back and fill in the blanks when a letter just didn't catch up to him in time as he was moving around on there.
Is she married? Does she have kids? Anything like that?
Probably at this point she's married. I feel like she probably works in one of the few shops
Mm-hmm.
in town. So if there's like a general store, that I think she probably works at the general store, so to speak. Because I don't think that Stonetop is big enough to have like a whole bunch of individual industries and shops. But I feel like there's obviously some place where the mercantile comes in and people come in and buy their supplies and go out for the farming. So I think
Mm-hmm.
she kind of works as a clerk and inventory and stock there.
Okay.
But I think her husband is probably a farmer.
And they have kids or no kids?
Um, probably some kids. So I probably have some nephews as well.
Cool. I just want to establish that Stonetop, while it is in the Dark Ages and is a very small town, there's an outlet mall on the edge of town. So you can get like, Banana Republic cast-offs.
Oh yeah, excellent. The Citadel, right?
Exactly. Ilsa, if you have another question you'd like to answer.
Whose heart do you hope to win?
Hmm.
Onwen, sweet Onwen. She is the proprietor of the mill that everybody chipped in to help work on previously, and that's how Ilsa met her. And just seems like there's some connection there, hopes there is at least, that they're both running something in the town and kind of some kinship there, but also just thinks that she's absolutely lovely.
What's the feature about Onwin that Ilsa noticed like just immediately?
She's got eyes that are such a blue that they're almost lavender.
Okay. And yeah, Anwen's the proprietor of the mill. How frequently do you see her?
Uh, Probably
Just
not
just in yeah, go
not
ahead.
terribly often,
Mhm.
but always looking for excuses to go over there.
All right. That brings us back to Carlo. You have another NPC.
Um, are you okay if I just do two? I did two kind of before. I didn't know we were going to keep going around.
Oh,
I could do two
yeah.
more.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You can.
I have two more.
No, you only need to answer one at a time. So,
Okay.
yeah. So if you have one more you want to do, cool. And then but if you also want to pass, that's fine too.
So people know that I tend to stay in town, but you know, it's 250 people. People also know I spend the evening um, nights with a widow who um, lives kind of farther out
Mm-hmm.
on the edge of town, um, and she's steeped in a lot of the town gossip,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't want me getting any ideas that this is going to be my farm because this farm is going to go to her son and daughter. Um, but she lets me stay the evening from time to time.
Do you know her name?
Her name is Bethan.
Okay, excellent. Um, how did her husband's death precede you coming to town?
Her husband's death had nothing to do with me.
Okay. Great to know. How long has this little affair been going on?
Off and on for maybe a year. Um,
Do her kids? Do her kids know about you?
they do. They don't like me.
All right. Does anyone else? I'll just ask this. Does anyone else have another one of these they want to fill in? Feel free to jump in. If not, then we'll move on to question 6.
I just have one more NPC that I had been constructing
Okay.
in my head.
Cool.
I think that Braun has a close friend from childhood, teenage years, before Braun ended up leaving. Their name is Wynn, Wynn, and they are non-binary, and they were sort of inseparable friends growing up. Um, I'm not sure why Wynn didn't come with Braun because I know that they were invited. Uh, but maybe we can figure out why that was. I don't know why Wynn decided that they had to stay.
Tell me a little bit about what Wynn's parents did then. Maybe that will help us decide that.
I feel like we have a lot of farmers, so I'm not exactly sure what else they would do. And I don't exactly want to have they weren't able to work, so Wynn had to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
It seems a little too tropey.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Maybe they.
Do you go ahead?
I was gonna say I think that Wynn's parents immigrated to Stonetop
Mm.
with Wynn, and Wynn has sort of reached out and made friends, Braun among them, and integrated with other people of Stonetop, but that Wynn's parents have been very insular. And I don't know if perhaps there were others from where they're from. Maybe they were refugees, or maybe they were criminals and they were fleeing and they stopped in Stonetop. Like they don't talk about their past, and Braun doesn't know, although he has been intensely curious about all of that information, but out of respect for Wynn has not stuck his nose where it didn't belong.
Cool. Does anyone else have an NPC they want to introduce? Going once, going twice. Moving on to question 6. Let's start with, let's go back and start with Mo, or Mac again. Mac, Mo, Life, Nick, like we originally started. So what's happening now is we're asking other player characters, throwing questions out to the table, and someone can sort of jump in and answer them to establish bonds among the 4 of you. So go ahead, Mac.
Let's see. Which one of you believes in me despite it all?
I think that's me. I think Tieran believes wholeheartedly that if you put your mind to it, you 100% can achieve it, and there's no reason you shouldn't have already. Like, she's 100% like fully behind you.
Woo!
Do you think that about everyone, or is it particular to Ilsa?
I think to a degree she believes that about everyone, but she sees Ilsa's drive and how much she cares, that it's like, no, this person here like should have done this a long time ago. Like, they're clearly made for this more so than most people.
Yeah. What's sort of the first time that you really had the thought, hey, this is more than just, a silly dream of Ilsa's?
I think there was like a time when someone was being unruly in the bar. Like, someone came in and was drunk and being really, really wild and out there, and Ilsa just put a stop to it instantly. And it was just like that kind of power and control, and like the moment where it was like she just seemed to have everything in that calm in the face of the storm. And I think Tieran was like, you're a badass. Like, oh my god.
Would the 2 of you consider each other close friends?
I don't know if Tieran considers herself as having many friends in general. Mm-hmm. So while I think she views Ilsa as a friend, I don't know if she like knows if they're like BFFs or not. She's kind of like, I like you, you're cool.
Ilsa, what are your feelings on that question?
I think that there's some worry from Ilsa that the ambition that Tieran has is going to set her on a path away, and is hesitant to get too close, but would like to be better friends.
Okay. Carlo, ask a question of your fellow PCs.
Which of you have I promised to keep safe?
I feel like that's probably me.
I feel that way too.
I feel like, especially considering how rowdy it can get, that you feel some sense of, I gotta look after this person, and, she's running this establishment by herself and all that.
Is that part of why Carlo has such a nice tab there?
That's part of why he thinks he has a really nice tab there. Everything's been meticulously added together, but Ilsa just kind of doesn't have the heart to call him on it for, the amount that he consumes there.
Carlo, how much do you consume at the bar?
I would venture it's not how much I consume; it's how much my crew does.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And periodically, I find gifts. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if people are coming through town, they may be taxed or something, and you know, I don't always pay in the local coin, but I find stuff and I you know, hand it over.
Very barter based.
What's funny to everyone about when Durr drinks the mead, which he's been known to do? They put it in a bowl on the ground and then he laps it up.
He snores.
Gonna get this dog in everywhere, I swear. Let's go to
I think
Tieran.
can I say something or make a suggestion anyway?
Yeah, go for it.
I think before he snores, I think Durr has a habit of there's a drinking song in Stonetop, and Durr has a very close approximation of it. And when Durr gets drunk, Durr starts to howl in a way that everyone starts to sing the drinking song as well. If that's okay, just a
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Yeah, Tieran, please ask away.
I Which one of you fears the path I tread?
You know, that might be me also. Because I love the idea that there's definitely some fear and trepidation in their friendship or almost friendship, that you are heading down a path that could lead to adventure or to ruin, because she's heard tales of both and is a little concerned about, well, I don't know, she's studying all this stuff and is interested in, you know, power at its core, and like, is that going to, you know, deteriorate her as a person?
Interesting. What's you obviously have heard a lot of stories from your father. Like, what's a story about someone like Tieran where it went horribly wrong?
There was Merrill the Wise, who was known for being extremely magically inclined, but never satisfied with the amount of power that they had attained. And it backfired horribly, and they got, I think, tricked and trapped, and their power really didn't amount to anything at the end.
Tieran, how aware are you of that Ilsa has these grave doubts about you?
Not very, I think.
Okay.
Well, so like, because she's kind of the local witch also, but because she teaches kids and like is valuable, I think they don't see her as like, it's like they're like, fine, you offer us like a good service here, so like we're not gonna be like weirded out by you in any way. But so I think she kind of tends to stay to herself, so she doesn't really talk about these things. So I don't think she's super aware that Ilsa has these concerns.
And I imagine Ilsa keeps dropping them in like metaphors, trying to be really gentle about it, but it's just not sticking.
That's awesome. I love that.
Ilsa, Tieran is just like, that's a really neat story. And then like takes a bunch of notes on it and is like, I should research the origins of that later. I bet there's like a very scientific reason, or maybe a magical one. And she just kind of like walks off.
I love this. I love this for you too. Bron, do you have a question for the other player character?
I do. Who joined me? Which of you joined me on my latest hijinks?
I think Hijinks is kind of my middle name.
Yeah, I was getting kind of a crooked marshal vibe going on there, crooked sheriff. So what do you think about running some sort of a con, like not like a massively destructive thing, but sort of a uh, like you had said something about a local tax for people who come through,
Yeah,
and
I'm absolutely down to fleece people who come through town who aren't from here. But most of the town doesn't like me, and so like I'm invested in like making sure that I'm not getting on anybody's worse side.
so I think this perhaps I've spread like this is not on the it's not on the charter, it's not in the town charter, but it's a tax that the marshal imposes, and I've kind of let it be known to people who I know through my circle of people who come that this is totally legit, and it's everyone has to pay this tax or has to tithe part of their goods or something like that, and then you and I split them on the back end off of that, if that works for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Amazing. How much has this little deal enriched both of you?
I don't think too much yet, but I think that as we make Stonetop more of a desirable location for people to come for trade, that's going to increase on there, especially as it's like a pyramid scheme, because as they come out and tell their contacts that this is what you have to do business in Stonetop, but it's still a really good deal, that kind of grows. So I would say that it's been slowly growing to be a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more.
Excellent,
And
excellent.
I'm just shy of getting shut off from the bar, so I'm actually not making a profit with this.
Oh yeah, he's just funneling all of that into the bar. Like,
so let's go around again and ask another question from here. And this is the same deal as the NPCs, so we can ask as many as we want. But yeah, let's start again with you, Braun.
okay. I would say who brings their problems to me? Or if no one likes that, I can ask a different question.
No, I have a good one. Tiered. We have a deal that you help me find artifacts.
Oh, or books or scrolls or other things that are gonna give information.
Yep.
Okay.
I come to you when I need different things to be hunted down or found. Like if I find out about a new thing and I'm like, listen, I can't get out of town because I got to teach kids. Can you go like hunt this down for me? And maybe we have like a setup there. Like I kind of owe you favors or pay, like if I can pay you money, I do, but maybe I help you out now and then you help me out.
Okay. So I think in my business dealings, I keep an ear or an eye out for any sort of things I think you might be interested in. You might have like a list that you give me, like I'm looking for these grimoire or information about this artifact or something, and I'll kind of work the taverns and see if I can find out any clues or information or bring back anything that is relevant for those items for you as sort of a business arrangement to track down things people were not meant to know.
Taryn, what's the thing that Braun found for you that you thought was not even findable? You know, that you were like, you'll never see, but if you happen to see it, and then Braun actually brought it back.
I think there was it was a puzzle box I was looking for. Like it was a famed puzzle box that was basically said if you can open it, you could see through into the black gates. But it was said to be lost or may not even really exist. And she basically just chalked it up to either this is a legend that doesn't exist or it's not findable. And he managed to bring it back. And so now she's been hacking away at how to solve that puzzle, which is probably why Ilsa's like, girl, stop.
So have I told you about Pandora? I feel like I have.
Braun, I want to ask the different side of that, which is, what's the time you brought something back that was just not at all what Tyrion needed, and you were like, "Look, I got you this," and you thought it was perfect, and it was no, she was not having it.
It was a bronze statue that I had been assured was actually from the private collection of Martillon, Martillon the Bold. And that it had been famed for its many different alchemical uses. It was said to cure all poison if you took the pointing hand of the statue and dipped it in any drink or touched any food. It would make it so that it was palatable and non-toxic. It was also known to provide a pest-free environment for the owner. Like within the area, it would keep all sorts of insects and vermin away. And it also was known to be a aid in the sexual area, and that no one who was in possession of it was ever had any difficulty performing or having any sort of adverse reaction or kept free of any sort of diseases. So it was framed for having many wide varieties of uses as sort of an apothecary or alchemical aid. And I personally had tested it myself, and I found that all of those things to be 100% true. As when I had it, I had no difficulty performing or having sexual conquests. I had no problems with vermin invading my living or camp space, and anything that I touched didn't poison me because here I am. And now I present this to you.
And I assume it did not work as advertised, Tyrion.
She has not noticed it working as advertised, but she kind of kept it because she was like, well, maybe it's not, maybe it does something else. Like she just couldn't like take it in her heart to say no, that's dumb. This isn't real. So she just decided to keep it, and I think she tells Braun's stories about how it works so well. She just doesn't have the heart to tell him it's bullshit.
Tyrion, do you have another question for one of your fellow PCs?
I do not.
Okay, passing. How about you, Carlo?
Which of you do I still have doubts about?
I mean,
I think
a
so.
weird witch girl.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Ilsa, and you work with Braun to do capers, so
That doesn't mean that he doesn't also not trust me.
This is true. This is true. I mean, look at it.
I'm the soul of brevity and honesty. Why? I'm offended.
I feel like it's between one of us, though.
Well, it's not my pick. So.
I mean,
if you like it, go for it.
I was just thinking maybe like I teach the kids, but you probably still see me as a little bit of a weird outsider. So it's probably a little bit like, what are you really teaching these kids?
I could see Carlo having a problem with the magic types.
Maybe does it have something to do with why you were in trouble and had a shady past?
Sure. He's very much a martial type of person, and he hasn't really. Maybe he doesn't believe. Maybe he believes, and he's like, very aware that like you're the person, like he can handle all the other problems people bring into town. He can't handle what you bring into town. Cool. If you're okay with that.
No, I'm okay with that. I think that makes sense.
Okay. You have further questions, GM?
Carlo, I actually had another question. Your crew, did they come with you, or are they all or are they mostly Stonetop locals?
The only Stonetop local in my crew is Kylie. I came to town with Zeb and Miri,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, my son came looking for me to kill me, and I talked him out of it.
Carlo, I want to know a time that you saw something unexplainable that really freaked you out, that might have given you some of your attitude toward magic types, if you will.
We were in the foothills. My band of men were quite salty. Zeb is the only one close to domesticated. That's why the rest of them left. They were like, this small town stuff isn't for us. And we were being paid to kill a woman who lived on the edge of the forest. And not normally my sort of thing, but it was good money. And so we went out and called her out, and she came outside, and she saw that we obviously meant to do her harm. And she went back in to hide. And, we expected that. We were just going to burn the place down. And if she came out, we do what we had to do. We would do what we paid to do. It wasn't our idea. 3 of my soldiers were killed that day, and 2 more were injured. And that kind of cut my merry band in half. The witch died, but I could not tell you to this day what happened.
Did she perchance live in a little stone cottage?
Funny you should say that. She did.
Interesting. That's fascinating. I don't know what could be happening there. Finally, Ilsa, if you have another question you want to ask.
I do. And not that I want to sway anybody, but I'm going to stare at Nick as I'm saying this. Which one of you has promised to teach me?
Oh yeah, of course, of course. I've been all around the world, and I've seen a lot of fascinating things. Martial forms that are unknown here in Stonetop. Different ways of fighting, different weapons. I can completely teach you what you need to know in order to be a hero. Regale you with stories, tactics, all sorts of information. Anything you need to know.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, I imagine though you keep pushing it off. You're like, oh no, I got it. It's fine, but I have a thing.
Yeah, we schedule that on the third morrow we will begin your training and make you a hero of the ages, and then there's this shipment. I have to go take care of this guy, but I promise I'll be back as soon as I get back. We'll get started here. I'm very sorry, but stars, not right. Can't do it.
Did you just Road to El Dorado me?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I like that. That's great. Does anyone else have a question they want to ask of their fellow PCs before we move on? Going once, going twice. Okay, we are at the last step of this process, which is we get to add our houses to the I need to make a copy of this. Let me see if I can make a copy that will let me make edits to it. What a wonderful time. But we're going to add our houses to a map of the town. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here and if that will work for the
Now, when you say share your screen, do you mean through Zoom? Because I think that's
Through
what
Zoom.
screwed us up before.
Okay.
Because I saw
right.
there was like half a text window or something, and then all of our windows got shuffled, and then everything shut down, and I had to recreate those things. So I don't think we can do that.
Well, we can't do that right now.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link to that, the document in the Slack that we all share. And hopefully next time we'll be able to share screens so we can look at it because that is helpful for the game in some ways. But yeah, we'll do that on our own time. Let's see.
I can probably set up another window or something when I've
Perfect.
got a chance
Perfect.
to do it.
Yeah. So let's do that next week then. And yeah, there is a final move that we need to make, which let me do a quick scroll through here. We're going to advance the seasons, which, what am I looking for here? I actually should say, I did want to ask Tieran if you have found your sort of minor arcana that you want to work with.
I did. I rolled random dice, so it's still
Awesome.
completely random.
Cool.
I got one that was a folk tale, which
Okay.
and truth seeds. So it's an old tale about an old herb tender from Marsh Edge, which is appropriate because that's where I'm from, that tricks a fen troll into eating an enchanted seed pod. She promises to go get the troll more food if he promises to then let her go. Of course, the troll breaks his words and tries to eat her, but the seed pod bursts into a mass of guir nettles when he does. You can learn the secret of enchanted seed pods, but need one of the following. So I need to like gain some things, and I can get some stuff about these truth seeds. And then I got, sorry, it doesn't have a search function, so I just gotta like jump down. Okay, I got a chain of rusty locks. A chain 6 links long, each link hung with a corroded bronze padlock. 1d4 plus 1 locks bear a stylized face, frozen in a rusty grimace. The keys to these locks are lost to the ages, so I apparently have to roll how many locks I have. Thinking like locks of, I don't know, not locks. I don't know what I was thinking. When you hold one of the face-adorned locks and look into its eyes, you can hear the voice of the shade of the departed soul bound within, hateful, desperate, pleading to be set free. I could master them by convincing one of the shades to reveal how it was captured. Oh wow, this is a fun one. So yeah, I have shades trapped in some locks, and
Cool.
I have
I mean, don't leave home without them.
I have a timeless vault. High in the hills or mountains, a pair of massive stone doors are set into the hillside. The markings outside are faded and covered in lichen. The doors aren't locked. One lies a bit ajar. Inside the vault, and its contents are untouched by time, free of dust or mold. Clearly something magic is afoot.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
these are the things I have.
Awesome. I love it. If you'll drop me a list of those in the Slack when we're done, that would be great. So I want you all to determine which of the four of you is the most hopeful.
I'm raising my hand.
Just about what?
Just
I mean,
in
just
general.
in general?
Just like in general. Who do you think has the most hope for the future?
Mac, if you're still
Oh yeah, I'm
in on that,
still
Ilsa.
very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of hope within her despite everything.
Cool. Mac, will you roll 2d6 plus 1?
2d6 plus 1. Hold on. I do not have d6s in front of me, but I will in a moment. I didn't know there was going to be rolling tonight. The 2d6 plus 1.
Yes.
That would be 6.
Oh my. Okay. That's fun to know. Thank you. Thank you for doing
that.
Ominous much?
I like it.
The next time we play, spring will be breaking forth, and it will bring with it something that I get to choose, apparently. So before we sort of sign off for the night, I want to ask each of you, going around the table, and we'll start with Mac. What are you most excited about playing with this character?
So honestly, my first thought when I was reading about the system was basically that we're almost portraying the NPCs in a game, or like a story or this great legend. It's that pass through town and getting to see what the lives are of the ones that didn't go on the adventures necessarily. And playing a character that's always just kind of on the standby but never actually got to do any of that, it's really exciting to me.
Yeah, I love that. But I love that about this game too, that it's very open to playing sort of a more about the town and the people who live in it, and that passed by feeling, as you mentioned. Carlo, what are you most excited about playing with your character?
I am most excited about, just kind of this adventuring, maybe without adventuring, keeping the town safe, navigating the local politics, and kind of like domestic fantasy in a way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had read a title for the genre of this called hearth fantasy, and I love that idea of getting into the domestic side of things. Taryn, what are you most excited about playing with your character?
Honestly, it was that. I was really excited about the idea of I'm gonna just play a scholar, and I can, because it's not I don't have to. I might have to fight something. I don't know, but I don't have to be like a murder hobo about everything. And it's fun for me whenever I get a chance to play more role play stuff. I prefer getting into the characters. I prefer getting a chance to get to know who my people are, as opposed to just and now we're fighting again.
Yeah,
it's very exciting to me that we get to kind of control this town and be the NPCs.
Cool. And finally, Ron, what are you most excited about playing with your character?
I'm most excited about playing kind of a talker and a liar, and delving a little bit more into being mischievous, because my characters are usually quite earnest and above board, and so I'm looking forward to having a little bit of not exactly skullduggery, but not being 100% on the up and up, and putting that towards the good of the town as well, not just being self-centered and self-serving. So yes, I'm looking forward to using my silver tongue for good.
So this is a game that in some variations, and we'll talk a little bit about this off stream, in some variations it can have, characters lose their lives. A lot of the NPCs we've developed today could step into those roles, or if you decide, I'm tired of playing this character, I want to play this character now. This game is endlessly adaptable in that regard. But we'll talk about sort of a little bit about tone and that sort of thing off stream. I believe that's everything for today, unless any of you have any questions. Great. I am very excited.
I think we do have a question.
I have a question.
Sure.
So Um, I'm seeing on the character sheet here, hit points,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure how to get that.
There is a basic formula for that, which I will look up and grab for you. Just
Okay.
because I don't know that me searching through the documentation at this point
Right.
is going to be
Right,
that
right.
exciting.
Not
But yeah,
not
I'll dump
real
it in the
time.
Slack. Yeah, it's very much like a basic number that is just sort of calculated. Cool. Well, thank you so much for playing with me this evening. I look forward to launching the first adventure on December 21st, the first day of winter, which feels, I don't know, weirdly appropriate for this game. Yeah, let's just sort of go around and say where people can find us and what we're doing. And we'll start with you, Nick.
Fantastic. Of course, I am here on Happy Jack's RPG Network. I'm also currently on a show with Games We Never Play called Shades of Gotham, where we have a sort of Harley Quinn-inspired low-level uh, low-level supers who are trying to make a move and control parts of Gotham. So you can check me out there. You can also find me in the socials at Sungrowler, like it says on the nameplate here. I hope I got the right side, but if not, you can read and you'll figure it out. That is pretty much it for me.
Awesome. Blythe.
Hey, I have been Blythe Kalla. You can find me across the interwebs at Blythe Kalla93. That's Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. I'm currently here. I also, wow, I almost forgot the thing I do. I run a Star Wars Silence in the Force game on Saturdays at 10 a.m. We will be back this Saturday, and things are getting real interesting. I'm very excited, so I hope you join us. That's on twitch.tv/it's probably okay.
Mo?
My name is Mo. You can reach me at AshyFeet1 on Twitter, ashyfeet.com. You can find out about my Shonen Fortunate Dark game, Shibuya Nights. And yeah, I'll be here in a couple weeks.
Awesome. And finally, Mac.
Hey guys, I am and will continue to be Mac Beauvais. You can find me online as at Strange Like That, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebooks, and also my website. You can also find me over at 12-Sided Stories, where we do a highly produced podcast that is all sound effects and music, and I'm actually currently GMing our second season of Unquiet Blood, a game of Vampire 5e, and that will be coming out sometime next year.
Yay. I'm Emily Vanderwerf. You can find me online. I'm at twitter.com/EmilyVDW. That connects you to all of my writing, especially at the site Vox, where I normally write. My scripted fiction podcast, Arden, is currently getting very close to the end of its second season. We have 2 episodes left. We just dropped our 11th of 13 today. I'm really proud of it. I think it's doing interesting things. I'd love if you checked it out. We will be back with the first actual adventure here on the 21st. I'm very excited to do that. I have some great ideas from what we came up with tonight. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I have to read a thing, don't I? About telling people to look at the other games on the Happy Jacks network. Is that a thing that exists?
It is. If you don't have the document, I can probably rattle it off from memory.
Please go ahead, and I will learn it. I will rattle it off from memory next time. Please go ahead, Nick.
Sure. This has been Stonetop, a Dungeon World game on the Happy Jacks RPG Network. You can check out all of our... Well, we don't have any previous shows, but you can check out any of the other shows at the Happy Jacks Network at happyjacks.org/shows. We will soon be on there as well. And when that happens, you'll be able to do it at happyjacks.shows/our name. We've all talked about who we are and why you should watch us some more. So we hope you enjoyed this show as much as we did. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
2 weeks.
Well, one last thing. At this point, I would also plug the calendar, but I don't have a calendar, so I'm just going to go to the Happy Jacks logo for a moment or two and then fade out the stream. So have a good night, everyone.
Good night.